So it's time we get into the heart of this episode, course design. Sean is going to be really spearheading this segment because he has the most experience in that area, but Ryan and I are definitely going to have input. I mean, we've played in a lot of courses, and we know what we like and what we don't like as players, so we'll all have something to say, but definitely Sean is the expert here. So I think a really cool place to start is let's talk about what separates a really good course from a course that you maybe don't pay as much attention to. You know, the courses that are fine, but when you think about the courses that you love, it probably comes down to like certain holes and certain features that one course has. So that's I think a cool place to start is highlighting the things that you love about certain courses.
And I think Sean will come from a different place with that. I think I know what he's going to say, but mine is really from a place of it just being overall fun. I don't think of like specific aspects like it's got elevation, it's got water, it's got lots of OB, it's got tight fairways, it's got woods, it's got open space. That's all well and good, but when I leave the course for the first time and I think, damn, I got to go back and play that. That was great. And, it could ultimately come from a place, where like the card mates that you had were cool or the day was just really nice or whatever.
Sure.
But whatever made you leave feeling like I need to go back there, I mean, that plays a huge role in the entire design of the course for me and, just aesthetically. So I think that's where I would come from, but I'm sure Sean is going to say.
Well, I always look to see, did the designer really maximize the space that they had to work with?
Ooh, that's a good point.
Everybody wants to think that there's a way to design courses, and that's just not the case. Your course is going to be as good as the canvas you have to paint on. So, when I play a hole, because I'm always I'm thinking more of like in a designer mindset than I am a player mindset. Did they maximize that space for that said hole? Could they have gone a little bit farther and turned that last little corner into like a harder Annie shot or a hyzer shot? Or could the tee box could have been like positioned in a slightly different angle? Stuff like that for me is, did they take advantage of the space they were provided with in the best way that they could? That's how I'm always looking at every hole.
So what do you think? What do you think is a good course that utilized the space that it was given, and an example of maybe a not so good use of space?
I would say you look at a course like Highland, like everybody locally kind of beats up Highland all the time. But I think that Highland
beats up meaning that they're what do you mean?
I don't know if it's that it just is too tough for them.
That's what I've
that's
that
it's
I
just
feel like
it kind of it's too difficult. But I think that Highland is a good example of going out to a property and going, okay, what are all the key elements that I have to work with? Where are all the cool spots that if I don't use this, I'm going to feel like I didn't complete this mission? And you go out to Highland and you see shooting over the road multiple times, and you see, hole 4, the length of that area going all the way down to that peninsula where it starts to drop off towards the back of the pin, stuff like that. That's where I think that course design really happens, is when you are maximizing the space that you have to work with.
So you're saying that that you feel like Highland did that well?
Yeah, I think so. I think Highland's a great course. I don't want to sit here and say that Dellwood is the best at that. Like I'm biased.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
Because I did it. So,
and also you can't say whether or not Dellwood maximized the space because it's used for so many other things. The entire park is that you couldn't possibly maximize the space with all the playgrounds and all the walking trails and all of the multi-use space.
So that's what I mean when you maximize the space that you have to work with,
given,
not that's available, or I guess that is available to you to use for the course.
See, I agree that Highland is definitely one of the more tough courses out there. And for that reason, to me as a player, I consider it, one of the really great courses. There is definitely such a thing as a course that's, a nice, simple, easy 9-hole that like you can get out to and play on a lunch break or whatever. And there's really nothing fantastic about it, but it gets the job done. And that's, that serves a purpose.
Yeah.
But a course to me that's like, if I'm going to consider it, a really great course and it like gets a special place in my heart, it's got to have, a range of different challenges and kind of actually different to what you were saying, Ryan. I think when I leave a course and I think, man, that course had elevation, it had water hazards, it had obstacles, like all those different things that is baked into what I think, a really great course, and like gets me thinking about the person who designed it and makes me appreciate it on that level. Again, it can be done without all those things, but I think when a course is able to incorporate as many of those things as possible, that's to me what takes it to that special place.
Well,
right.
The one that sticks out to me, and Sean's gonna laugh, that gave me that feeling that aesthetically, like when we left, that is immediately in my top 5, was Villarda Ast, or up in Madison, we call it
Creek.
Token Creek. We call it Valhalla. Villarda Ast. Because of, it was on a trip that we go on every year to Sandy Point, and so you're already in that, like,
that's
disc
another
golf.
mention too. I mean, Sandy Point, obviously we could talk an entire episode about that course, but
we get out of the van and we already know that we're going to have a good time. It's the group of friends that we have. It was the first day. It was beautiful September day. And to me, the course was so pleasing in every way. Like, every shot had a distinctive fairway and a line that you had to hit, but it wasn't so difficult or wooded. It was just, there was perfect grass.
Good combination of everything.
Yeah. And Sean's going to laugh because we have photos of his cart that was black, almost entirely covered in mosquitoes. It was so bad that day that, like,
it was the worst mosquitoes I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
In my life.
Just
we could
still,
we could barely finish, but that did not deter me from loving that course altogether. Yep. And I don't think there's anything terribly difficult or terribly impressive on any one of those holes. Like, none of the holes to me were memorable enough that I was like, that's my favorite hole. But that's one of the courses that just I would love to go back to aesthetically.
Right. No.
But the way it was put together, just I love it.
I mean, another course on that trip too, Standing Rocks. I think Standing Rocks is a perfect example. A lot of the stuff that they have done out there are things that I tried to do out here at Dellwood. Again, they took all of the key components of that property, whether it was elevation or water or the way that every hole is maximized and good. There are 33 of them out there, but all of them I wouldn't change. Like, they're exactly what they need to be for the terrain that those specific holes are on.
And every time we step up to the tee pad on every hole, we're all like, oh, this hole.
Yeah.
Like, and it's that, like, you can remember the last time you played it.
Yeah.
And that feel, I agree with you totally.
That feeling happened to me for the first time at West Park. This was my first time playing disc golf since I was like 8. So I was 15. I don't know how the idea came to me, but I was basically saying to my dad, like, hey, this would be a fun thing for us to do as a family. Let's go out and play disc golf. I know we did that once when we were little kids. So we looked it up. We went to West Park and we bought those.
When was this? This was
I was 15, so this was 16 years ago.
I'm trying to think. I'm like going through the West Park timeline of what the course looked because it's changed so many times.
Yeah.
Do you remember how many holes it was at that point?
It was 24.
Okay, so it's the layout that I learned on. Yes,
most likely.
Cool.
So we picked up the end of like beginner packs. So I know there was like a leopard, a shark, and a beast maybe
a birdie
in there, something.
Yeah,
but anyways, we go out there. We played hole 1, and then we step up to the tee pad for hole 2, and you look from the top of the hill. You look down. It's a huge valley.
Right.
There's water running through it, and you see there's a big cutout of the trees. So you're gonna have to throw over the river from a massive elevation through this tunnel, and you can see the basket down there, and you just look and you're like, this is what we're supposed to do?
I think so many people in our area have had exactly that moment at exactly that spot at exactly that course.
Yeah.
I fell in love with the game
hole
that day.
Just has the special sauce. If you are unclear with what I'm trying to describe of saying, did you maximize and make it as cool as it can be? Something like that is exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, we had a listener question that asked, what is your dream 9?
And I knew that was the first one that came to me, like, that's in there. It's in my top 9.
Who was that asked?
The person that sent that question?
Yeah.
Jeff Chappelle. He sent that to us on Facebook.
Oh, cool. Well, thanks, Jeff. That's a great question. I think actually hole 2 at West is in there. I don't know if it's top 9, but it's in 18, I think, for sure. And it's not terribly difficult now that, we all play disc golf.
Right.
We managed to miss the birdie most of the time anyway. At least I do. I don't know what's so damn
totally
difficult
crushes
about it.
my soul if I don't get the birdie.
But it is the reason that every time I think about going to play West Park, I'm like, I'll get to play hole 2.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. There's a vibe.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a vibe there. You mentioned hole 4 at Highland. That's one for me too.
I was just talking about that hole today. Actually.
Has got the special sauce, and especially now that they've lengthened it, it's intimidating like no other hole. And I don't know why
Right.
that is. I'm a lefty too. So like it's tough for me to really get down there where a normal righty with a big arm could flex it and, hit the perfect line and get pretty far. I've got to kind of dump out by hole 5's tee box over there, in that opening and then get down. But still, like just stepping up to that tee box, you get that feeling. And that's definitely one for me. And the course design, the way that it's laid out and the use of the giant trees is like so good.
It really makes me think, you were onto something when you said that, knowing what your canvas is, like what do you have to play with?
Right.
And I think it sounds like the first thing, like obviously, talking to the park district, getting permission, funding, all that stuff, that's phase 1. But when you get to the actual course design, understanding what are the unique points about this piece of property.
Right.
What are some of the most interesting things here?
Right.
Having that list.
What are going to make people
this is
go,
my toolbox.
oh my God, this is so cool. Like the hole 2 at West Park feeling.
Yeah.
How do you have 18 of those?
Sure.
If you find 18 of those and you make them flow and they're not all righty hyzers, anybody can design a disc golf course.
That's inspiring.
Because
inspiring.
so, and this is how I've had this conversation with a few people. I think that anybody that's got a Disc Golfer magazine with their PDGA membership, you flip to the back and John Houck, he's a big designer. I don't know a ton about him. I've read enough of his articles in the back of Disc Golfer magazine.
Mm-hmm.
He always dives into he almost makes it look like a math equation, like how a disc golf hole should be.
I love that. I love that he can nerd out so hard on that.
Yes. So that's cool. How many times are you going to be provided with exactly that diagram, with exactly that layout, and exactly those trees, and exactly being able to have that pin position? And so is it a good example? Absolutely. Is it realistic? Not at all. Because anytime you're on go to any, they're all different.
Yeah.
Every landscape is different.
I think the concepts
every park district
are sound, but like implementing them is
I'm not saying
so
that John
hard.
Houck is wrong. I'm just saying that, okay, great. That's a great example, but how do I make that work with what I'm working with? It's a way to learn, but I don't think it's a way for things to be.
Sure.
Everything is going to be different. All the properties are going to be completely different. The holes are going to be completely different. And you have to be able to work with what you are provided.
You automatically have a leg up if you're working with a really cool property with just a lot to offer.
Right.
But let's talk about when you don't have that, because I would say you're more likely than not, you're going to not have that amazing property to work with. You're going to, if you're lucky, find when it comes to making a course that's serviceable, you're of the position that the most important thing is maximizing space.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
how do you make it cool?
So I don't think that every disc golf course that has gone in should have.
Ah, that's interesting.
I would rather see less good courses than more courses just so there's more courses.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
That's a very...
here's a perfect example. In Lamont, right next door to Lockport, there is off of, what road is that? Smith Road? Off of Smith Road, Bambrick Park. It's just 3 baskets in a field with no signage, no rhyme or reason.
Can we not call this a course then?
Exactly. It's not a course. And some people will go, well, it's exposure, but it's wrong exposure. People are going up to that and thinking that's what disc golf is. That's what a disc golf course is. And that's maybe sometimes going to be someone's first introduction to disc golf, and they're going to go, oh, this is what it is? Cool, this is lame. I'm never doing it again.
What do you think of places like Shorewood? Because I love Shorewood. Shorewood seems like the 80s version of what disc golf is.
Sure. Literally.
Yeah. No,
81?
Yeah, and the fact that it hasn't changed, very much.
Yeah.
And you go and you play it, and it now feels very antiquated, and it's still fun to play. We go play it.
Yeah.
I love that course.
It's not what I think disc golf should be, but is that a course that shouldn't be there any longer? Or then is that a course that should be redesigned? Or is that a course should be preserved because we want to know what it was like,
right.
And keep it in just for having it in there?
No, I think that Shorewood is exactly what you should be learning to play disc golf on. But I think that, I think that you could definitely update courses like Shorewood. What's a shame about Shorewood is not how short the holes are. It's how much it's not taken serious there by the park district.
Shots fired.
Sorry. That's really how because I mean, if you really care about it, like you care about all the other things that you're updating, the playgrounds that you're yanking out and replacing, and baseball fields and soccer fields and then replace the baskets. You go out there and the baskets, one of them was manually replaced by Gary Lewis. Yeah. That's a shame. So that's my hang up with courses like that. It's not so much that they're short, because they're perfect learning grounds.
So it's not the design that bothers you. It's more like the maintenance.
Not at all. Because, I mean, having an issue with, that's just such a loaded question. That's hard for me to answer that. But no, I think that the holes are the holes, especially out at Shorewood, where it's just this tiny little box, and that's all you really have to work with. Because otherwise they would just be overlapping each other. Some of them already are.
Yeah.
Right? Like some of the holes, like you have to watch your back before you're going to get clocked.
12, 13.
Exactly.
That's a problem in course design. I mean, that's got to be
so
one
again,
of the things you have to avoid.
Kind of going back to my other point is that it is what it is based on the property that they had to work with. I would love to see Shorewood get some new baskets. I think that would be great. I think that's great course development.
Yeah. Given the lack of
development,
elevation and other elements, I feel like Shorewood has kind of maximized their use of space, whether or not you like the course or not. Like they did what they could with what they had.
So we're quick to judge, but I don't think enough people take that into consideration. Dude, Shorewood sucks. No, Shorewood is exactly what Shorewood can be.
I have a hard time with that. Like somebody saying Shorewood sucks. I've maybe heard that in passing before, but that kind of thing always comes in my mind. Like, well, if you're taking that position, you're probably not appreciating the big picture, which is I'm amazed by how fun of a course Shorewood is in that tiny space. So
it is packed all of the time.
All the time.
I'm constantly joking in the shop with some of the guys who, have just come from there, or they go there all the time, and they're like, dude, it was packed. And I'm like, it's so crazy to me that Shorewood is packed, because it's Shorewood and it's this short little tiny course in this little box. But
honestly,
says, speaks volumes.
It's challenging. I mean, there's a lot of easy things about it, but you could go to Shorewood and tear it up. It's a very technical course. So I give props to the designer, because within that tiny space, he made 18 holes. There's at least something challenging about each of them. And some of them are just straight up hard. Like they're not like, it's not just like, oh, this one has that. That's nice. Some of them are just hard holes. And, I don't know how you make that work in that little space. And like you were saying earlier, it starts mostly with walking the property, seeing what do you have to work with, understanding your canvas and your tools.
Right. And even a course like Shorewood, like I know how many changes have happened at that course since it went in 81. I want to say that hole 17's basket used to be closer to where the fire hydrant is, but then they moved it back. And if you play hole 12, like the tee box is kind of skewed in one direction, and it doesn't seem natural.
Yeah, it's tilted to the left. Yeah,
it's tilted to the left, and there used to be a big tree, so it was actually like this big long Annie shot, because this tree was blocking the righty hyzer, which now everybody just lines up off angle at the end of the tee box on hole 12. Everybody knows what I'm talking about, and you just throw it dead straight at the basket.
Yep.
So
let's go through some of the do's and don'ts of course design.
Yeah.
Things that you should definitely try to do, and things you should definitely try to avoid. So one of the things we've already talked about in terms of do's is make sure you understand the land and the land you're working with, the tools that are sort of available to you in terms of design. Make sure you have a really good understanding, and don't short that process. You want to spend a lot of time really getting intimate with the land.
Right.
What else would you say goes along with other do's, in terms of making a good course, things you should definitely be doing in the early stages?
Safety. Figuring out, not only is it going to flow well, but when I throw or everybody throws the inevitable shank, is somebody getting clocked?
Richard?
Yeah.
Exactly. So, I mean, within the parameters that you have to work with also is including other park patrons. So at a course like Dellwood, where we have some of the holes have like a park feel to them, and some of them are kind of like deep woods, exclusive disc golf. When you're dealing with areas where there are pedestrians, how is if like hole 3, perfect example, right? Dellwood, hole 3. There's a path, there's people coming down.
Yep.
We had to consider, we are going to use this hole because we love it so much, right?
Yep.
Now we have the pedestrians coming down, so can we see 360? Can we see everybody that's coming down that hill? Is everything visible? Can we just yell 4 and it's okay? If it's a blind shot and you're throwing around a corner and there's a pedestrian path, then boom, you're done.
I mean, that's lawsuits. That's the opposite of growing the sport. That
Right.
could very seriously harm the sport. So safety, number one. Even
Right.
before making cool holes, safety really has to be number one. Okay, so you've got you understand the lay of the land. You understand that, you can't be putting people in jeopardy. You can't be
Right.
risking injuries. What is another thing on that checklist that's like definitely yes?
I mean, I would say that at that point, once you know what you're going to be working with, everybody's safe, then is when I start to figure out, okay, is it righty favoring? Is it lefty favoring? Am I, do I have, 6 holes that are favoring to a right-hand backhand and then 6 holes are left-hand backhand and, 6 straight neutral shots? That's when you kind of have to, by that third level, you're like diving into the
making sure it's
math
balanced.
Right.
And that it's got something for everybody. You don't want it to be the course that everyone goes, oh, well, if you're a right-hand sidearm thrower, you're going to love that course. Otherwise,
like everybody loves Fountain Hills, but everybody says it's just a big hyzer bomb course.
Righty hyzer, righty hyzer, righty hyzer.
Yeah,
the whole time.
I'm sure it's fun to play.
Gorgeous, super fun.
Not
very interesting.
Yeah, and
that's
it's
somewhere that's like amazing, and like we have this huge tournament there. But would I say that it's something that's designed? No.
Yeah. It's not really super fun to watch.
Yeah.
Other than they're on tour and they're playing the Memorial, but the course itself doesn't seem that terribly interesting.
Yeah. Right. But again, that's exactly what they had to work with out of Fountain Hills.
Sure.
So the course is what it is.
They put a basket between 2 palm trees
because those were the only 2 trees that they had to work with on that part of the property.
Yeah.
Give me some of the do not do this when you're designing a course.
I don't have much experience, but I've got to say, don't make the hole hard for hard's sake.
Yeah.
That's a big one for me. Like,
I think every course should have one hole that's so stupidly hard.
No, well, there's a couple holes that I can think of. One of them was up in Beauty and the Beast, and there was one hole that was a curtain of trees.
I love that.
There was no opening.
You were just like tomahawking into trees.
There was no opening. There was no going around it. There was no going under it, over it. It was 164 feet or something like that, and we all had to take at least a 4. It was not a disc golf hole.
So I can appreciate that for like serious competition, the pros would be annoyed because it's like, this is not a measure of my skill.
Correct.
It's a measure of how lucky that I get on this round.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be chastised for this, but I say it every time. Holes like hole 14 at Highland.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody loves that hole because they can pimp a putter. But I feel like, and I'm joking because somebody used that phrase at some point. And
we say it every time
we get there. But it feels like somebody walked over and said, oh, here's a good spot for a tee box, and then walked 200 feet and said, here's a good spot for a basket, and never looked at what was in between.
Yeah.
And they just assumed that you would pick some kind of line to get your discs down. And it has changed over the course of the last few years because people have cut down trees for whatever reason. I don't know what those are. And it's gotten a little bit easier, and now there's more of a line or two to choose from. It just felt like, here's a basket, go throw at it. I don't feel like doing any more to this. Yeah, it's definitely lacking the sauce. And it was just, there was no point.
Between 2 really awesome saucy holes, like 13 and 15 at Highland, which are amazing.
Yeah, they're great holes.
There's 14.
Yeah.
That makes me think that if you have a course that has 18 ho-hum holes, would you rather turn that into 9 sick holes? Would you rather have a full 18 of uninspired holes, or shorter, like, less actual holes, but the holes that you have are more special?
I would say turn that into 9 and put different tee pads or something. You
Yes.
know? But yeah, I don't want to play 18 boring holes of disc golf.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
And I there's some 9 holes that I've played that I love.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I don't care that there's 9 holes here.
I'll play it twice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You just play it twice and you enjoy it. And
Yep.
maybe you play a slightly different tee pad, or you put a little twist on the second round or whatever.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
Mandos
I
or
would
something.
much
Yeah.
rather see somebody put in 9 great holes
Yeah.
than 18 forgettable holes.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things too that has kept Dellwood relevant and kept people talking about it, is because if I feel like I've made a mistake, and I have out here, I want to change it, and I'm going to change it.
That's a perfect segue. The next thing I really wanted to talk about is when there has been redesigns on certain holes, how do you get, I mean, you surely have to go to the park district. I mean, this is owned by, there's rights, there's requirements. pick a specific hole that has been redone and required some serious, work to change it. Can you tell us, the process of one of these
recently,
changes?
we back in 2015, we put in the first set of long tee pads at Dellwood. That was only like a year and a half after the course opened. We put in some longs, and my knowledge of course design and understanding how holes work and how scoring spread works has totally changed how I felt about hole 7. The long pad that we had was like 400 and I can't remember.
452
450, something like that.
Yeah.
It was in what people refer to as like a tweener range. It wasn't really birdieable for most of the guys. So I went to Jeff and I said, we've got the money in the course fund, so why don't we just do away with that tee pad completely, pick it up. In this case, we kept it. The whole concrete slab we kept, it's over on the dump. We're going to reuse it on hole 18.
Cool.
But he picked it up with the forks, moved it over to the dump. We poured a new pad that's like 230 feet further behind it. And everybody's like, dude, oh my God, it wasn't gettable before. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't understand that I'm trying to make a par 4. You're not supposed to be able to get to it when it's 670 feet away.
Yeah.
You're supposed to throw an accurate shot, dead center down the fairway, 350 feet, do that again, putt in for a 3, and get a birdie. So that's a situation where we just changed it. I realized I had made a mistake design-wise and fixed it.
And since you had the course fund to work with, the change is doable.
Right.
And that's got to be one of the big problems with a lot of these courses that don't have the park district sort of, sharing the love with the course.
Right.
There will be things that need to be changed, but there won't be the resources to make it happen.
Yeah.
So, people give up on it. Well, that just highlights how valuable, not only to have the land out here that Dellwood has, but the park district. And I guess the shop is a big part of the reason why the course keeps improving and evolving, is because the people who are supporting the shop and the events that you guys put on is building up the course fund, which allows this place to just keep growing.
Right.
The growth is because of everybody listening.
Right.
That's what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many people that just come in. Shout out to Tim Potter. Comes every time he's in the shop, buys something, whatever. He's always putting money into the course fund box. So it's awesome. Everybody has tons of support.
You guys rule. So there's, we got a lot of questions from listeners, and we're going to get to most of those in the mailbag segment, but some of these questions are really specific to course design. So I want to get to some of those now while we're on the subject. Ed Radakovitz sent us this question on Facebook, and I think it's just this is a good one to explore. So when designing a course, how much thought is put into making it fun, interesting, and playable to various skill levels? Once you talked about layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, this maybe is a layer 3 or 4 part of the process.
Yeah.
Making sure it's got a balance
for sure
for each different skill level.
Yeah. I mean, in the case of Dellwood, we've got multiple sets of tees. So I'm always considering when we're, back when we did the things that we were doing, are all of these holes reachable for people who are just getting into the sport? Is 275 constantly going to feel like super tough to somebody to where they're not going to want to play it again? So obviously every time a hole, we're always taking into consideration the skill levels of everybody across the board. Totally.
Yeah. I guess it's an ideal world like that. You're going to try and please everybody, but that's very hard to do, but still a goal to aim for.
Right.
And that's, I guess, one of the big benefits of being able to have multiple tee pads, positions. You can have the, from this pad, this is great for any level player.
Right.
And then for people who really want to challenge themselves, we have this other layout.
Right.
I really love the example of Northwoods down in Peoria. Morton?
Yeah.
Morton.
Yeah.
Because we've played that course on their regular white pads or whatever pads you want to call those. And that was a tough course, but it was super fun. And it wasn't terribly long in a lot of the holes, but some of them were pretty crazy. And then, you have the Northwood Gold, which is, out of this world crazy. And it's not the same course, but it's on the same property. That's like the best possible use of space for, skill levels. And I think that's fantastic because someone like, myself or Ed or, maybe a younger player or a newer player can go out and play the regular pads and just have a blast and get beat to hell on that course because it's hard, but it's fun. But then Paul Macbeth can go out there and also have that same feeling playing the gold course and come out, with maybe the same score, playing longs where we were playing the shorts. And, I think that is a measure of, different skill levels and how good the course design could possibly be.
So that's going to be very tough to achieve with just 9 or 18 holes. Let's say you have a limited budget, limited space. You don't have the means to put in a bunch of extra tee pads and positions. So it's going to be really hard to do on limited, resources.
Right. I mean, something like that, those ideas have come over the last 7 years at Dellwood. The 5th and 6th level of course design is understanding time and having patience with the entire process. I mean, if I had it my way, all of these changes would be done tomorrow.
Right.
But I know that that's not realistic. So
I think that's really good advice.
It's ever evolving. You can't capture it. It's just something that you just ride the wave of understanding it as it's happening and being able to fundraise or do the things that are going to be the means to an end of putting in a different set of pads. Out of Dellwood for the last 7 years, I've been like anti putting in concrete for the red tees. There are 12 holes of the original 18 that have red tees. They're actually significantly shorter by like 75, 100 feet. But now I'm starting to go, okay, we've got an MA50 group, enough of them that are getting together. Shout out to the Slip Discourse.
That is the best name, by the way.
Best club name.
Man. Yeah.
They're getting together. They're getting organized. We've got guys like Scotty Rangel that are going, hey, I've got the time. I've got kids. I want to get kids into the sport.
Yes.
It's not until 7, 8 years later that I'm going, wait a second. I need to invest in this idea too, because that's going to be the course where these kids are going to come out and go, I love this.
Oh, that's such an important thing. I'm glad you're getting into that.
So, and again, it's really just time and patience and understanding that this stuff doesn't happen overnight. You don't snap your fingers and go, best course.
When the 8s were going in, Sean and myself and his brother Joe and a couple other buddies, I think Donnie was out there for a while, Jose, shout out to Jose. We were out there carving fairways by hand with not even power tools.
No, not even chainsaws.
Nope, not even chainsaws.
Like and loppers.
Machetes.
Loppers and snips and rakes and whatever the hell that tool was that Jose had that looked like it was out of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, just killing poison ivy out there and ripping everything. And it took us days to get halfway down the fairway of 8C.
Yes.
And had we just waited a couple more days or a couple more weeks, the Park District came out and in a matter of less than an afternoon, they had plowed the entire fairway.
Well, I don't want to give them too much credit. But you do remember we worked on that hole. Do you remember? This is the cool part that I remember about 8C.
Yeah.
The hole was happening as we were opening it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we would get 30 to 50 feet cleared of like just honeysuckle and buckthorn that was in the middle that we knew wasn't going to work. And we'd remove 30 more feet. And then we'd get there and go, oh, dude, look it dips down right here. And we get 30 more feet. You remember that? And it kept going. It was like another 150 feet. We just kept on adding to the hole because it was so thick back there that we were exposing what the hole was going to become 30 feet at a time. Sometimes you don't have the ability to see a fairway until you're slowly making it happen with your hands.
Yeah. That was so fun.
There's such a good metaphor there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just
course design. I mean, it's such a weird thing. Like, I love course design. It's amazing. It's something that I've done, but it's not easy. There's so many different elements to it. It's imagine what it's like to be like Mike Cousins at Sandy Point.
Right.
Like when you own the property and you're like, ooh, I've got this idea. Ooh, I want to do this.
I'm going to do that tomorrow.
He didn't know any of that stuff when he opened that place in 1992.
Right.
He's changed it over the course of 30 years. That is the phase that I'm in with Dellwood, where I'm looking back and going, kind of what can I tweak now and what's kind of become more important because time has passed, and all of that type of thing that is not something that you could write down and go here.
Well, there's no formula.
Instructions number 1. Yeah. Do that. That's not course design to me. It's just something that's going to happen over time. Sure, you're going to have parks that are going to throw some baskets in a field and some tee boxes and signs and go, hey, we have disc golf. Yeah.
So to kind of summarize that, it really is a labor of love.
Absolutely.
It takes time. You have to invest in it.
Yeah.
Your first draft is the first set of holes that go in the ground.
Yeah.
That might look very different in time.
It's not like, oh, well, that's the hole and it's that way forever. Like, at least not for me, like just in recently.
This is a perfect transition to another question.
Yes.
Another good segue. Brad Cook of Disc Golf Chicago and of the awesome email address dingdongulus at gmail.com.
Ding dang dong. Isn't that what it's in Home Alone too? Ding dang dong. Oh my
Brad
God.
He's an OG, man. He's just
Brad
like
Cook is awesome.
He's one of my favorite people, and he's one of the people who've helped make Disc Golf Chicago do some of the really cool things that we've done. So big shout out to Brad. Basically, his question is asked in another way by Jorge Pina. He sent us a very similar question on Facebook.
Pina.
So here's Sean, do you have any regrets with the original Dellwood layout? And then Brad phrased it as, Sean, when it comes to hole design, is there anything that you learned the hard way? Meaning, were there choices you made for a hole that in hindsight you wish you had done differently?
I would not say that I have any regrets because I have an understanding of the timeline of the space differently than other people do. And that's weird. Like, that's weird to say, meaning that, like,
everything
there is
for
no
a reason.
regret. It's, am I going to make a change when I feel it's necessary?
Mm.
Yep.
But then the other part of that is, is there anything you learned the hard way?
Ooh. Not really, because it's just all evolution. I know I'm like answering these questions in a weird way, but I don't look at holes as that's what they are. It's what are they going to evolve to? Like, here's a perfect example. Something that most people don't know because I haven't even had this conversation with most people. I just put in a B pin on 11 and I don't like where it's at. I just put it in like a year and a half ago, not even that long ago. That was like spring last year.
Love that position.
But I don't like it where it's because it could be better in a different spot, but then the 12 long pad gets in the way. So I'm already planning on removing 12's long pad. Like, so other people would go, but it's there forever. And I'm going, no, I just pick it up and move it.
Yeah.
You just get rid of it. So I don't ever look at things as it's a regret, because I'm just always looking to be as proactive as possible.
There's a bit of a fluid state.
There's always a way that you can change it, because I put myself in a position with the course design where I'm always allowing myself the funding to be able to make any and all of those changes at any given time. But then you have to have the patience of when is it realistically going to happen based on the timeline of when the work can be done. Again,
if you're not as fortunate as, this course and this design situation is allowed for, the only way to keep a course evolving is passion and really hard work.
I think every really good course has somebody that gives a shit about it all the time.
That's got to be fair.
That's the only way it's going to be good and stay good, is if one or many people care about it all of the time. It's not, we're done, let's put the tools away.
Yeah.
My tools have never gone away. They're still out all the time.
The summer camp that I worked at for years and years, they put a disc golf course in at one point, and it's deep in the woods, but they brought in like a pretty renowned course designer to help make it. And by the time that I was old enough to care about it and starting to play, every hole was so overgrown that like nobody was playing the course anymore. So it just became this like thing that people talked about, but no one ever used. And, signs were falling over, baskets were falling over, and the camp was like, well, we spent all this money. We brought in this course designer. We bought these baskets. And if you're not maintaining it regularly, I mean, it's not a one and done thing.
I think that's why, I think that Dellwood is beautiful. Do I think that it deserves to be number 5 in the world? I do. But I think that's what separates us from everybody else, is that I'm here all the time. Jeff cares all the time, and we communicate. And we're constantly working on the evolution of this place.
So it is time for another one of those popular segments that the audience is getting really excited about more and more. The mailbag.
Mailbag.
We got to get the Blues Clues drop for this at some point.
I know I didn't do that last time.
How does it go?
Here's the mail. It never fails. Makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes, I want to wail. Mail. Okay, that's perfect.
Mail time. Mail time.
Every episode.
Wow.
So we got a lot of good questions sent to us from you guys through social media, email, etc. And we're going to get into some of those. But there's something very interesting happening with this segment this week and moving forward. We have our first sponsor, and that is by a very cool company called Bag of Tricks, which is a trivia company that hosts trivia events. Actually, before I start, I'm going to have our guest tell us really what Bag of Tricks is. And our guest is Jason Callahan, who is Sean's older brother.
He
Present.
He gets it.
We got it.
Throwback to episode 0.
Jason, thanks for joining us.
You bet.
And thanks for pushing the idea of bringing Bag of Tricks into the fold, basically. I mean, I think there's some really cool ideas that we're going to be able to do with this.
Yeah, so I mean, I work for a company that hosts bar trivia all around Chicagoland. So who better to be the one who reads the questions for your mailbag than somebody that does question reading professionally?
Yes.
Yeah.
Man, that voice. You got to come on every week.
Yeah.
So we're going to run through some of our standard questions, and then Jason has brought this really cool idea to the table. I'm going to have him explain it to you as we get toward the end of this segment. Very, very exciting, very fun, and we're excited to share it with you guys. Let's jump straight into some of these questions you guys sent. DHan187, David Hansen on Instagram.
We know David Hansen.
Yep.
He's a cool
I was
guy.
wondering about that because I wasn't sure, and I figured
I know
somebody
David.
knows
We know
it.
who he is.
David and Danny, they're brothers. We know.
Okay, cool. David wants to know, with Illinois being one of the only areas with a novice division, do you think it's important to have that division?
Oh, I could go both ways with this one.
Yeah, I think it depends on the event. I think it is important to have a novice division. I think it is important for people to understand what the novice division represents.
Yes.
I know a lot of people may be rated in what would be considered the novice division and have played long enough that they don't really belong in novice.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, you could be 798 rated, and I believe at that point you should at least play in rec.
Sure.
You know, I think novice division is for the beginners in the sport, those that don't quite have the skill level or the knowledge to be able to excel, but that want to and that will.
Yeah.
And so if you've been playing the sport for 12 years and you're still a novice, and maybe that's where you peak, and that's fine. Hey, I'm professional rec. I'm not going to get anywhere other than that. But if you're still a novice, I don't know that division is for you.
Right.
You know, I
agree.
don't think that's what it's for.
Right.
And so maybe some of the higher tier level events like Clash, you know, A tiers, things like that, I don't think a novice division necessarily belongs in those.
Yeah, agreed.
But, you know, that's just my take.
Yep.
But
Sure.
it definitely has a place. Yes.
Yeah, and I think the place is, I think back to the very first tournament I ever did, and I'd been playing disc golf for a long time, but I'd never done a tournament. So I just figured I'll start at the beginning. I'll start at the lowest level. And I went out to the iOS Rockford. I think it was called the Forest City Frenzy. Maybe it was something, maybe a different name.
Yeah, that sounds right.
But I showed up and I ended up taking 4th. And I remember thinking, man, I did not play very well. But then I learned really quickly, like, okay, that's what novice is all about. Going to your first disc golf tournament is so exciting. I have not caught the bug for anything in my life more than when I caught the bug of disc golf at my first tournament.
Right.
And it was like, you get to you show up, there's all these people, and you're like, oh my God, people are taking this seriously. And like, this is a whole new world. And that was so exciting.
But also scary.
Scary too. But in a
Scary
good
in a good way. Yeah.
And then you go and you play. And at the end of the day, you're like, oh my God, I took 4th. Like I took 4th in my first tournament. And now I'm excited to go step up to the next level.
Right.
So I think as an opportunity for people to really fall in love with the tournament side of disc golf, novice serves, it serves a purpose.
Yeah.
But I also agree with you guys that if you're dealing with A tiers, B tiers, and you're generally going to be drawing more serious players in, you probably don't need the novice division.
I think that's the division where the sandbagging, even though I don't really like that term that much, is where maybe that happens the most.
Probably.
That's where people just kind of become stagnant, thinking, oh, like Ryan had mentioned, I'm rated to be a novice, so I'm going to stay a novice. And that's where it's
you
like,
could finish middle of the pack in rec, or I
Yeah.
could finish second in novice and get,
lose better.
some funny money. Yeah.
Lose better.
Lose better. And I also think that novice should normally be a trophy only division.
Yes.
If you come in first, second, third, whatever that is, great. You've placed well in your division, but it's a beginner division.
Yeah.
It's for
you were the
an
best of the
introduction to the sport.
beginners.
Right.
Yes.
So
it's an introduction to the competitive side of the sport.
correct. So once you get to that point, you are definitely ready
Yeah.
to move up.
I played novice for maybe like 4 tournaments, and then I won the novice division against 3 other people and was like, oh, okay, it's time to go up to MA3 or recreational and go get beat by guys that are better than me, and then I'm going to learn that way, and then repeat, repeat. MA4, sometimes, not all the time.
It has a place.
It has a place.
Next question comes to us from Joe Moore, username JJ Moore.
Slow Moore.
On Instagram.
Joey.
Joe is one of the friendliest dudes I've ever met on the course.
I want to bottle that dude's energy.
Yeah.
And sell it for $20 a bottle.
It would sell. But he sent in a couple really good questions, and we don't have time to get to all of them, so I'm just going to pick my favorite one. Man, it sucks because he sent one that's really aimed at you, Ryan. He sent one that's aimed at you, Sean. And I'm going to go with the one that's aimed at you just because I think it's a...
Well, now I want to hear Ryan's question even more.
Screw it. We're going to do Ryan's question, but you have a 20-second
Got it.
cap
Ooh,
done.
on what you can answer.
Ooh.
Done.
I'm going to time it for you.
Start the
Jason is
timer.
timing.
I'm going to start timing Jason on
I
finding
like your
the timer.
confidence. You don't know how big
I'm
the
ready.
question is.
No, I have no idea.
Okay. Ryan, Joe wants to know a little background on what you do and how do you make such great shirts and trophies?
Go.
I don't really know. I got into it because I thought that there was a need for it, and I just thought I should learn how to do it and provide it, and that's pretty much it. And I've learned how to do it, and I'm passionate about whatever it is that I do, and so I think that's how it evolves.
Stop talking.
Oh.
Not bad. Not
Fair
bad.
amount of information. I got your vibe on what your answer.
Clearly rushed, but
I'm going to put the same time limit on
Oh,
yours.
Yes.
good God. Here we go.
I think this is a little
Yes.
easier, but yeah, I think
is
it's
it what's his
easier-
favorite color?
No.
Okay.
No. Joe wants to know, Sean, what do you think you would be doing if it wasn't for disc golf and Dellwood?
Go.
Oh, my God. I would probably still be doing what I was doing before disc golf, but more passionately, because that's something that I learned how to do as I got older and doing what I'm doing. And I would be spending all my extra time looking at the clock that's winding down. I have 2 seconds.
Stop talking.
I don't
No,
know,
you didn't
20
say, you
seconds.
didn't give us anything. What
No.
were you doing beforehand?
20 seconds of history is all.
I only had 20 seconds to answer.
I did it.
You said you would be doing the same thing you were doing before. At least tell us what were you doing before.
I was working for my father's flooring installation company, Central Tile. I was the estimator for him. So that was a lot of fun. I really like customer service, which is what I'm continuing to do now with DDG. I feel bad because Ryan didn't get to elaborate on his answer, but I'm
You're not going to
elaborating
get
on
to either.
mine.
That's it.
All right, well, there we go. Sorry, Joe.
Boom.
I'd be doing disc golf in my spare time.
Another good question before we turn things over to Jason. Joan Denny on Facebook wants to know. You guys know Joan? Who's
Yep,
Joan?
I know Joan.
Who Joan?
Joan is Tito's wife.
Yeah.
Joan
She
and
comes
Tito,
out and plays the putting league every week. and-
GPPL.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
They come from I always think it's Rockford, but it's not Rockford.
I don't know, but it's far, and they do it, and they love to do it.
Yes. They're awesome. Good people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I believe you guys.
Yep.
Joan wants to know, what are your go-to discs? Let's each do one disc each. If you had
one
to
disc.
take one disc out, I don't know, business trip, you're not going to bring your whole bag. You can bring one disc. Ryan, what are you bringing?
I think it's going to be the Discmania FD, and it hasn't been in my bag as long as I think it should have been. More recently in the last couple of years, but I have a couple iterations of them now, and the FD is a slower, understable fairway driver, but going along with what I mentioned earlier, like, you don't need overstable crap all the time. I can shape a lot of holes. I can do quite a bit with that disc, especially being lefty, and inevitably there are going to be courses that are righty favored, or, just have that left finish. I can shape that disc pretty much however I want.
I've seen them do it.
And I love it. And there's so many different plastics and, versions of that disc. If I had one particular disc, it would probably be like an S-line FD. But if I could take
That
many
means you're
iterations,
you're putting with a driver.
oh, that's fine. Yeah. But if I could have many iterations of the FD, there are enough that you could form a bag. So
Okay.
I like it.
Sean, you got one disc. What are you bringing?
I am also going Discmania.
Ooh,
So that's cool.
I know what it is.
I'm going to go, this is a nerdy answer.
I think that's what people want.
So the P1X, right? One of their putters.
Nerd.
But specifically, there is a blend that was accidentally produced in soft P line that I've gotten a shout out to Dana Vici. He's always hooked it up with those. I don't know if he has a secret stash of these things at his house, but every time I need one, he's got me. But they never went into regular production in soft P-line plastic. So there's like X-line and there's stiff P-line, but they never made soft P-line in mass production, but they exist. And I have some, and they are my favorite. That's my go-to off the tee on like anything inside of 250. So, and I can putt with it. I can drive with it. You know, it's kind of like all purpose.
That's kind of the route I'm going to go with mine as well. It's not even a question for me. I would go for the Arrow B Arrow. I don't see why anybody would throw anything else.
Oh, geez.
Get out.
Okay, no, seriously. The one disc.
That's the kind of answer I would expect Jason to have given.
Well, I would just turn around and pick a disc from the shop and just say that one.
Hope for the best.
I literally, this one. I know you guys can't see it at home.
This one's
but it's really good.
My answer is the Gateway Chief, and I would probably get the Sure Grip. I actually didn't know they made it in that grip or that plastic until very recently, and it's whenever I find the Chief available anywhere, online, stores, whatever, I buy them up.
Before I knew you were you, I knew that you were looking for Chiefs because there was some event or tournament or something that someone had one and you were asking about it, and I was in that circle. I don't know how I know that, but he's been looking for Chiefs for a long time.
A lot of people that feel
like
that way
I
about the
remember
Chief.
that.
Yeah.
It's
liken it to something that more people are familiar with. Like what's the flight? It's kind of like low profile.
Very, very flat, very low profile.
Low profile. Like pure, is there a bead?
For as much as I love it, can't tell you. But I can putt with that if I need to, but I can also, it's a great touch shot. Like I can just put it exactly where I want to. So, I mean, I'm never gonna be able to throw it, 300 feet probably, but I can put some distance on it when I need to, but more than anything, it's just a great technical disc and it feels good. They're hard to come by, and it feels like my cool answer. Like, I don't think many other people are going to say Chief. So that
is not at all the disc that I thought you were going to say.
What did you think?
I don't know.
Huh.
I mean, that's just one of those really obscure, like everybody knows the FD. Most people know the P1X, the Chief.
It breaks my heart that they're so hard to come by.
I'm looking at it right now. It looks like it does have a little baby micro bead.
It might.
Definitely low profile.
And anybody listening, if you know where to get some, please DM me.
He'll pay a good price for him at this point.
It's a crazy time in life to be spending money frivolously, knowing that the whole world is going crazy right now. But if I saw a big stack of Chiefs for sale, you couldn't stop me.
Scoop them.
All right, I am gonna turn things over now to Jason. We've got a couple more fun questions, and then I want you to introduce the new segment that you're bringing to the table.
Very excited.
Take your trivia host expertise,
excellent,
here and put it out how you feel.
Well, first of all, before we get to the segment, I do want to get this out of the way. It's Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and it's Voldemort growing on the back of Professor Quirrell's head.
Okay, see, I knew that there was somebody
if we didn't
growing
put
out
that
of somebody's
to bed in this episode, I was going to have an aneurysm in my sleep tonight.
Yeah, I know.
And die. So I wanted to make sure we cleared the air
patiently.
What's going on there?
Was that the first one?
Time. It's the first one. It's the very first one.
And it's like he takes the turban thing off, and
correct.
Okay,
there you go.
All right, we got it. We got it.
All right, good. We got that.
I'm glad we got that.
Let's move on to these questions. So, question number 1 comes to us from an Instagram user, Flying Disc 26.
I know him.
And all right, very good. And their question is tonight,
Mr. Jamie Martinez.
Jaime.
Yeah.
There you go. What is your favorite fast food? So we're going to start to my left. Start with Alex. What's your favorite fast food?
If anybody says anything other than Wendy's, I'm quitting the podcast.
Well, he eats hamburgers plain. So right back at you.
Don't get to
not a single condiment.
Wow. Cheese.
Cheese is a condiment. Yeah.
Well, my friends for years have given me a hard time whenever we get any kind of burger, wherever they say, "Oh, can you put some extra air on his, please?" And I'm fine with it. I don't care. I don't think you need to fancy up a burger with lettuce and vegetables and whatever. I mean, just give me good meat, good cheese, decent bread. That's all. I mean, I might be a little Ron Swanson of me, but I'm good with that.
I respect it.
Yeah.
I don't agree, but I respect.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good way to word it. All right, Ryan.
Yeah.
Favorite fast food?
I know I'm riding the wave, but I've been doing it forever, and it's got to be Arby's.
Huh?
There is something about that beef and cheddar.
We have the meats.
I will go back to.
I have the meats. We have the meats.
We have the meats.
We have the meats.
Yeah. There's something about it I will go back to every single time. I don't know what it is. And that horsey sauce.
Horsey sauce is
silly.
great.
Do you go onion bun on
answer.
your beef and cheddar?
Oh, every time. Yep. Yep.
I swap it out for the original.
I could see that. That's okay. But yeah, and I mean, I can remember having that. Like, we didn't have one in the area that I grew up in, but we would travel once in a while, and if we saw an Arby's, it was like,
Yo,
It's an event.
Mom,
where my
Mom,
mom go?
can we stop? You know, and I can still remember that. I think that's why I like it so much. But yeah,
Can I tell you my
Oh,
favorite
that's
thing about
so
Arby's?
good.
Go ahead.
I worked at an Arby's for 2 weeks once.
Uh-oh.
And
Cool.
it was back when I was a summer camp counselor, so I knew I was leaving for the summer in 2 weeks, but I was like, I'll make some money in the meantime. But of course, you don't tell the hiring manager I'm only going to be here for 2 weeks.
Sure.
But I came in, I hated it every day, and my manager, I don't remember much about it other than she kind of sucked, and I was so excited on my last day to go. I just started behaving like a really bad employee, just like, I know I'm going to get yelled at, but I don't care. I don't know what I did, but she was like, hey, that's like totally inappropriate. You can't do that. And I was like, oh, really? Well, I quit anyways. So good luck with everything. And that's my favorite thing about Arby's.
Is that you quit it?
I quit it.
Oh,
And I left that branch, that specific location, probably in a bad position for the day. They deserve it.
Real
honestly.
nice.
Still love it. Still gonna eat there all the time.
all right, fair enough. I'm gonna throw it to you then, Sean. Favorite fast food?
I'm just gonna say the first thing that came to me, which was Culver's. So first of all, fast food. Immediately, I think burgers. Duh, right? Burgers.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the first go-to
The
of
tradish,
fast,
yeah.
traditional.
Yeah.
Culver's beats out Wendy's, McDonald's, Burger King, and every other burger place I could think of combined with 10 Armies on their best day. Culver's all the way. Best
Okay.
fries.
You don't go cheese curds?
That's why it's awesome, because I can go cheese curds if I want to. You can't get cheese
You're
curds at
making
McDonald's.
a very good case right here. I'm backing down a little bit. There's room
If
for
I'm feeling
Culver's in
cheese
my
curds,
heart.
I
Yeah.
just get cheese curds.
And they do have the dessert game.
Tonight's
sort of
episode brought to you by Culver's.
Culver's.
Yeah.
future sponsor.
Culver's is
It
great.
does
I
take
like
a
Culver's.
while. It is a little more
Worth
expensive.
the wait. And then if you want ice cream, boom, they got
Right
that
there.
too.
That's the thing about Culver's.
It's not ice cream.
Oh, frozen
Custard?
Yeah, it's frozen custard.
Custard.
It goes down
My
like
bad,
ice
Get
cream.
off
It
your
goes
high
down
horse,
like ice cream.
Culver's.
Yeah.
Jason, what about you?
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you're here. You're on
Yeah.
this.
There have been days where I've been in the line at the Taco Bell drive-thru and realized it was my second time there that day. I'm not like forgot that I had been there
You
once
shouldn't even feel bad about that.
and it went
You
a second
blacked out
time.
the first time.
Yeah.
You're like,
Went a second time. I was like,
traumatic
yeah, I'm gonna get some
experience.
Taco Bell, and then I was like,
Oh,
oh
man.
shit, this is my second time eating Taco Bell. It's Taco Bell, 100%.
Yeah.
There's a backstory. There's a family backstory about how my mom craved it when she was pregnant with me, and I just came out into the world like, yep, I'm in. Let's do this.
Yeah.
They
as
say
soon as
he
I
has
could talk.
mild sauce.
We
in
did.
his
I mean, it was
DNA.
like that's what I miss about fast food is like when you get older, then it just becomes like I can go and do that whenever I want.
Yeah.
When we were kids, what Jason's talking about, like it was an event. We went to.
It
It was
event.
like
yes,
it was special. We went to Taco Bell and there was like cinnamon twists, and it was like
yeah.
Making
I
a
can
good
taste
case for
it.
Taco
I can
Bell now.
feel going to Taco Bell with my mom and Jason and my
Yeah.
other siblings.
I
and,
can
like,
see the teal and the
it
pink.
was-
Did we say at the top of this that I'm your older brother?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
We did.
all right, good.
Yeah.
That would have been
That
really
would have been
weird.
really awkward. If
Yeah.
Wait,
the listeners are like,
wait.
why is he going with him? All right, fair enough.
How long have you guys known each other?
Yeah. 36 years. All right. So one more question for you guys. Again, I'm going to start with Alex. This is a Facebook question. Scott Rangel. I
Yep.
believe his last
Scotty.
name. Yep.
Yep.
Got it.
El
Scotty.
Chapo.
I hear they call you El Chapo, Scotty. So, Alex, what is your favorite? Oh, God, I love this question. What is your favorite episode of The Office?
I had a lot of time to prepare for this, and there's no right answer. There's so many damn
There
good
is.
episodes.
Yeah.
Man, I hate having to choose, but I think I have to go with the I think it's called The Convict. It's basically the episode where we meet Prison Mike.
Oh, sure.
I'm Prison Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Oh,
that
that's-
whole
yeah.
The
bit.
Dementors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Demented.
Demented.
And I loved it. My wife and I love The Office, like
Yeah.
to a sickening amount.
Yeah.
She makes the best cards, like for Valentine's Day, birthday, whatever. Sometimes I look forward to her cards more than my gifts. And one year she gave me a card that the front of it was just the cutout of Prison Mike's face with the bandana and that stupid expression on his face. And the stuff on the inside was like, thank you for chasing away the Dementors. And she just like made all these like references to that episode. So it has a special place in my heart.
That's
it's
adorable.
hilarious.
Yeah.
And there's just so many good lines in there.
Yeah.
So many
yeah.
good ones.
All right, Ryan, it's you. What
I
is
just
your
looked
favorite
it up
episode?
because I
Yeah.
had about a minute and a half to prepare. I knew what episode, but didn't know what it was called. It's in season 4. It's called Survivor Man. It's the one where
yes.
Michael goes out in the woods and has to survive by himself.
Mhm.
Jan has fake boobs.
Yeah. Not only that entire sequence, which is fantastic, like Dwight hitting him with the boot when he's blindfolded,
Mhm.
but also that is the episode where Jim has to take over and be a manager, and he decides to put everybody's birthday on the same day.
What a mistake.
And after all of that, Michael comes back and is just the coolest possible guy, and he was like, yeah, I did that, you know, and they had such a
There's
moment,
a moment
together.
at the end of that episode.
And
It's
so,
awesome.
like, every element of that episode was
Yeah.
just like, oh, it gets you right in the feels. And yeah, that was definitely top 3 for sure, if not my
I
favorite.
love him turning his pants. His Survivor Man thing is,
Oh.
I'm turning my pants into shorts.
He had absolutely no reason to do that.
And
Yeah.
then he makes the pants into a hat.
Yeah.
And then he duct tapes the pants back
I know.
together.
He's gonna make him pants again. That is the
Yeah.
best. Oh,
Oh.
Christ.
Okay.
John, favorite.
I
Yeah.
can't pick, man. There's
You have to.
there's so many. I don't know the name of the episode, but one that I like a lot is when Michael Scott Paper Company gets bought out by Dunder Mifflin. When it's kind of like it all worked out for Michael. Like I just
Right.
love the feeling of that episode
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's like
Oh, and it
It's
never
trying.
should have. It never
it's
should have
been
been.
the worst for
Yeah.
him. Like you feel their fear. This is so goofy to like get this in depth about you, but
Yeah.
you know
Yeah,
what
yeah.
I'm talking about.
Yeah. Oh,
In
yeah.
those
Yeah.
episodes, in that chunk where Michael quits, and you're like, dude, what's he gonna do?
And
Right.
Pam's trying to
Fictitious
negotiate.
character.
Pam's
and,
trying
like,
to figure
We're all
herself
worried
out.
about it,
Yes,
and
yes,
she's
yes,
like,
yes.
he's like,
That
eggs,
whole arc is
or we're
solid.
making
Yes.
French toast. We're making French toast, and you could feel his panic of like
Right.
he
Yeah.
does not know what to do,
Yeah.
and that it all ends up working out for the underdog of getting bought back out. And then when they're freaking out in the conference room, when they're like, "We need a minute,"
Yeah.
when they say, "What are they like $60,000 or whatever?"
Right,
and they're
yeah.
like, "Holy shit, we
Yeah.
need time." But
Yeah.
I would say that's up there. That's definitely top 3 at least.
Our balls are in your court.
Yes.
That happens in the negotiation.
I don't know what episode that is, but
These are our
what else
demands.
happens in that episode?
I mean, that's what you're talking about. The
That's-
final episode where they end up back at Dunder Mifflin.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then
I mean,
at
that's
the
pretty much
end,
the
like
whole
Michael's
episode.
kind of standing there. Does he put his foot up on the desk or something like that? And he's just kind of like, yeah.
I think that's
Yeah,
the start
yeah,
of the next episode.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Okay.
You're right.
Yeah.
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 But
Yeah,
I
when
think
they
the
come back.
toward the end
Yeah.
of that episode is where he's like kicking out Charles, who like is
Yes.
the
Charles
bad guy.
Minor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Worst.
Yeah.
And Charles goes to make a speech to the office, and Michael goes, "No, no."
But that,
You're
no,
done.
hold on.
You're
That's
done
the
here.
beauty of the show is that you just said that Charles Minor is the bad guy. Charles Minor was the only one making sense that whole time.
Right.
Oh,
He was
yeah,
trying to
very
keep Dunder
true.
Mifflin afloat.
True.
Of course.
But
Yeah.
that's the beauty of the show is that
Yeah.
these crazy people are still on our side.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even though that guy was making sense, he was the bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's-
Absolutely. Great question, Scott. Thank you.
Yeah, that was a fantastic question. And shame on all 3 of you for not choosing Dinner Party. That is hands
It's
down.
too cringe.
That is the
Wow.
best episode of the show, and you
It's
know it
so
now that I've said
hard.
Yes.
I love the
Dinner
plasma,
Party is the best.
plasma
Oh,
TV.
the plasma
it.
TV.
The when he's moving it to get it back
Oh,
into the
yeah.
wall and everything. If
Yeah.
you there's bloopers
Yeah.
if you have
Mhm.
the DVD or if you watch it on
Yeah.
YouTube that are some of the funniest bloopers I've ever seen.
You know,
in
later
NFL.
on they have that giant flea market, and
Mhm.
his plasma TV's on one of the tables.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Is it all
great.
damaged?
Well,
Yeah.
so is
Yeah.
the light
poly-
up, the
St.
neon
Pauli
sign
girl.
and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
They throw back to that episode
Oh.
so many times.
So good.
I mean,
the best.
I know why you like it, but it's a level of cringe that
Oh, it is so hard to watch.
hard to sit
But
through.
that's the sweet spot of the show.
I-
It's you can laugh, you have emotions, you cringe. It's like when they hit everything all at once, that's when they were doing God's work. And
Yeah.
that's what that show did.
She
Yep.
moves into
Absolutely.
his condo,
Yeah.
and now he sleeps on the little thing at
You
the
see-
end of the bed.
Dude,
The camera at the
what did we just
everything.
watch, Sheila? What did we just watch? Where in that scene where they show where he lays on the nightstand across from the little bed that's at the end of the bed is the George Foreman grill that he burnt his
Burned his
foot
foot
in.
on.
And that's
I
like a
like
little
to wake
Easter
up to
egg
the smell
thing.
of
I can't
bacon.
remember what
Sue
we
me.
watched,
Huh.
but you could see that in that scene.
From that's
Awesome.
It's
season
in the room.
2 when he burns his foot.
The injury.
Yes.
Wow, they brought it back that
In
far.
that
is
scene.
great.
Okay, Jason, you have brought a very cool idea to the table, a new segment, a new thing we're doing on the show. Break it down for us.
Yeah, so my proposition to the gentleman is I want to continue to do trivia, and I want you guys, the listeners, to learn more about these fantastic hosts. So I am going to throw a trivia question to you, listener, and this is how we're going to break this down. First of all, Ryan, why don't you plug your Instagram handle, because that's what we're going to use going forward.
Oh, yeah. Instagram handle is unstable.disc.golf.
Excellent.
Yes.
So what we're going to do is I'm going to pose a trivia question tonight to the listeners. They're going to, at this point, pause the podcast.
Right now.
Go to your... That's right.
Pause it right now.
Welcome back. So hopefully what you did while you were paused is, and you shouldn't have, because we didn't tell you what to do while you were paused. Yeah. So we're gonna do that again after I've explained everything. So you're going to pause. You're going to go to Ryan's Instagram account. We're going to make a post on the day that this episode airs that will be a picture of a disc with a question mark on it. In that post, in the comment section, is where you will supply your answers to this question. By the time we record the next episode.
Can it be one try per person?
One try per
person.
Like,
can I, if I am a listener, can I go and make like 5 guesses?
No, I would narrow it down to just one.
Just
give it
per person.
One shot. You got one shot.
Got one shot.
Yeah.
One opportunity.
Spaghetti.
Spaghetti.
So you're going to answer the question on that post. And by the time we do the next recording, we will have chosen a winner.
1 week.
One week. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's multiple winners, we'll just choose one of those names randomly. And I think they're going to get a hat. Is that what we landed on?
That's correct. An unstable hat from the shop. Come pick it up.
Excellent. That's how we're going to do it. So the question that I have for you tonight is we're going to do a little round table, and I'm going to have all of the guys just give you their initials. Okay. The question is, what is everybody's middle name? And the only information you will be provided is their 3-letter initials. And if you guess correctly, you'll be awarded with a hat. So we'll start with Alex. Give us your initials.
AJS.
Good. Ryan?
Ooh. RCF.
Excellent. Sean?
SAC.
Sack.
So
Zach. Got him.
got him real good.
Boom, roasted.
So now, boom roasted. That's perfect. You nailed it. So now you go to Ryan's Instagram. Plug it one more time for me.
Unstable.disc.golf.
Very good. Look for the post that is a picture of a disc with a question mark on it. Comment there what you think the 3 guys' middle names are. Whoever gets them right or gets closest to getting them right will be awarded with a hat.
Somebody's getting a hat.
I'm going to encourage everyone to use some honor and integrity here. Don't go messaging people's wives or friends trying to like,
cheat.
Don't cheat.
Yeah. Oh, I feel
like have fun
very
with
differently
this, right?
about it. You use whatever means possible. I think. You do your thing.
I mean,
but
well, then
2020
any of my friends or
COVID-19.
family that give up this information, you're dead to me.
yeah.
all right, that's fair.
All right, very good. So this is where I sign off. I'm Jason with Bag of Tricks Entertainment. That's BAIG of Tricks Entertainment. We normally host our trivia at bars, so since you can't go to bars, check out our Facebook page. The guy that owns the company is doing some Facebook Live trivia for free, and
Yes, he
is
is.
just asking that you do donations to kind of keep this rolling while we're all stuck at home in our quarantine.
Cool.
And then going forward, if you follow our Facebook, be in the know as to where you can catch me and Ali and all the other hosts in the Chicagoland area doing trivia for you guys.
So once life gets back to normal, there will be lots of opportunities to go attend.
There'll be so much trivia, you'll hate it.
Oh, they're so fun.
Yeah,
There's
it's
a ton.
good time.
And
There's a
did
ton.
you say that you guys have an office themed trivia at some point?
Oh, if it's a pop culture thing, we have it. Office, Friends, Parks and Rec, Simpsons, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter. Like I said, if it's a thing, we do it. We post and let you know where we're doing that. We do general knowledge trivia. We do music bingo. I just did a murder mystery party about 2 weeks ago. That was a good
Ooh.
A
time.
murder,
Yeah.
you say?
Yeah. Plantation. Office reference. Yeah.
What kind of pay them?
So thanks for having me, guys. Look forward
Yeah,
to
thank you.
this
Thank you.
next
Yeah,
week.
dude.
Yep.
Okay, that wraps up our new segment. Before we say goodbye, let's give you guys a preview of what's happening on the next episode. We're going to look at the ladies' side of the disc golf world. We will have another special guest with us. And it's going to be fun, interesting, new stuff.
A different take we've probably not heard much about and should know a lot more about.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, and I'm very excited about the person that did the intro for that episode. So
Yes, that too.
I don't think it gets much bigger or better than that. So stay tuned. Thanks for listening. If you guys feel inclined, go drop us a review on whatever platform you're using. Like, subscribe, share, all those great things. We appreciate it. And hopefully you guys enjoyed, and we will catch you next time.
See ya.
See ya.
Peace.
Leo Borowski.